She had been telling herself the fatigue was grief. The dog had a different explanation, and he pressed his face to hers every morning for 22 days until she stopped dismissing him. Margot Vance had lost her mother 6 months ago. The grief was real, and the fatigue that came with it was real, and she had given herself permission to not examine it too closely. She was 41. She was a working architect. She had a 5-month-old son named Ellis. She was tired in ways that felt earned. Their large mixed breed, 4-year-old Roman, a black-coated dog with a broad face and the gentle weight of a dog who understood that he was large and calibrated himself accordingly, had been in her life since before the pregnancy, before the loss, through all of it. He began the morning behavior on a Tuesday in February. Every morning, when Margot came into the kitchen before eating, Roman would approach her, press his face to hers, forehead to forehead, his broad nose at her nose, and stay there for 5 to 8 seconds, not requesting food, not seeking play. He pressed and inhaled, slow and specific, and pulled back and looked at her face. She scratched his ears and moved toward the coffee. He did it again. Wednesday. Thursday. She assumed it was comfort behavior. He knew she was grieving. He was leaning in the way dogs lean into grief. It was, she thought, one of the better things about having a dog. By day 10, her sister Elena visited and watched it happen. Elena said, "That's not comfort behavior." Margot said, "Of course it is." Elena said, "He's smelling your breath. He's not leaning on you. He's reading you." Margot said, "He's always been an affectionate dog." Elena said, "How long?" Margot thought, 10 days. Elena said, "Has the fatigue changed at all?" Margot thought again. It had changed, not intensified, shifted, a different quality to it, more concentrated in the mornings before she ate. A slight shakiness sometimes when she skipped breakfast. She had attributed all of it to grief and sleep disruption from Ellis's night schedule. Elena said, "Call your doctor." Margot called her doctor. She described the fatigue pattern. She described, feeling slightly foolish, the dog. The doctor said, "Come in. Subscribe now." Because the fasting glucose test that came back at Margot's appointment and the A1C that followed confirmed what a 4-year-old mixed breed had apparently been reading in her exhaled breath for 22 consecutive mornings. Margot had type 2 diabetes. Her fasting glucose was 187. Her A1C was 8.1. The condition had been developing, gradually, silently, beneath the noise of grief and new motherhood, for longer than 22 days. But the morning pattern, the shakiness before food, this specific fatigue that concentrated at the edge of a fasting window, these were signals the dog had been reading before she had language for them. Dr. Priya Chandran, her endocrinologist, said diabetic ketone compounds and glucose-related volatile organic compounds in exhaled breath are detectable by dogs at concentrations far below human olfactory threshold. What you've described, a dog performing a morning breath check at the beginning of a fasting window, is consistent with a dog responding to metabolic scent changes in a person whose glucose regulation is impaired. She looked at Margot. 22 days. That's how long he was telling you before someone listened. Has your dog ever performed a consistent morning ritual involving your face or breath that turned out to mean something medical? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. Margot is managing her diabetes. Her levels are coming down. She gets up in the morning and Roman comes to her and presses his face to hers, and she lets him finish. Not as a ritual, not as comfort, as information. She waits for him to pull back. She thanks him. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never asked for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. She told her sister, "You were right." Elena said, "The dog was right." Yes, Margot said, "The dog was right first." Next, the husky who started sleeping between the child and the bedroom window every night for 9 nights before anyone checked what was on the other side of the glass.